Hello everyone, my name is Akal and I am a somatic therapist as well as an astrological counselor. If you'd like to find out a little bit about the work I do, you can check out my website down below this video. So this video to me is I felt very compelled to make this. It's fascinating what we're actually experiencing. I don't have to tell you guys this, you all know, you're all living it. This is one of those points in human history where all of a sudden it seems like humanity is on exactly the same page. I can't think of another situation that's arisen throughout my lifetime in which this is the case. So this is incredibly unique what we're going through. And this is not just about a virus. This is about something much more significant. It requires that you take a step back and look at the broader picture of what's actually going on. What I want to talk about today is I want to talk about specifically what's going astrologically, what's going on, as well as we're going to take a look at what I call Neo Astrology, which is the human design system, and its sort of spin-off variation, which is called the gene keys. But they're basically talking about the same energies, just using different ways to describe it. So the first thing I need to say is that what's going on right now actually has a lot to do with, let's see if I pull the picture here. Yep. So this is the chart of the moment. We can look over here at the planet Pluto. So Pluto is really interesting because what Pluto represents transformation. And my specifics here may be a little incorrect, but I think Pluto has a 246-year cycle. So what's interesting is that Pluto is sitting in Capricorn. Now, Capricorn represents structures, basically represents man-made structures. Those structures which we have all agreed upon and put into place. Well, theoretically, we all agreed upon these things. But these are the structures that are in place which kind of govern how we live in our boxes. You know, again, Saturn always represents a box. Anywhere you see black cubes, all around the world you see statues and monuments that are black cubes. That's basically a testament to Saturn. So Saturn rules the material plane. It's not a bad thing. Saturn basically creates pain, fear, and suffering so that it progresses human beings into their next phase of evolution. So Saturn is in Capricorn, is the ruler of Capricorn. Now, Pluto is the planet of transformation, which is associated with Scorpio. So Pluto happens to be in Capricorn. Now, how this is interesting, again, is remember that Pluto has a very long cycle, 246 years. And I believe the last time Pluto was in Capricorn was the American Revolution. So, again, that's pretty significant. So the American Revolution was the last time Pluto was in Capricorn. Now, how do I explain this? So this idea that there's this transforming power that's happening way in the background. So Pluto isn't necessarily something you're going to note, or well, let's say your ego, your personality is going to notice. It is an energy that exists, like I said, deep in the background, and it's an energy that's sort of just playing out. And it affects humanity generally. It's a generational placement. So what I found really, really compelling about this is because I try to find ways to personally relate to these things. And so you could say, well, you know, maybe Pluto is transiting somewhere in your chart, which will make it personally relevant. But what I like to look at is how we as individuals and collectively, how are we evolving? And this brings me to the human design system. So human design, which is this chart, and this is the chart of the moment right now. Now, let me move myself over here. So the chart of the moment, you can see Pluto here. The placement is 61.5. Now, what does that mean? Well, this is the human, let me move myself back. So this is the human design mandala. Make it a little bit bigger. So the human design mandala, this like body graph, what they call a body graph here, essentially this is the mechanics. This is how energy flows through, let's say, a car. So the understanding in this system is that you are not driving the car. The car is being propelled, or you could say impelled, by spirit, by energy. So what this shows you is how energy flows through that car. So again, in its spirit or life force that is driving the car. Now, let's take a look at Capricorn. So where's Capricorn? Capricorn's right here. So 61, that's right here. So Pluto has been moving through Capricorn. Now, the interesting part about this is Pluto entered Capricorn in, I believe it'll spend 16 years in each one of these particular placements. So Pluto entered Capricorn, I believe it was in 2008. Well, what happened in 2008? Yeah, economic collapse, the big bubble burst. So anytime Pluto enters Capricorn, what you start to see is a shakeup of systems. And again, the systems, and like the American Revolution, was bringing about something new, a whole new system, a whole new way of governing human beings. So Pluto, since 2008, has been moving through here, and it currently sits, like I showed you with the human design chart, in 61. So gate 61. Now, where's gate 61? Gate 61 is right up here in the head center. Now, how is that significant? Well, the head center in human design represents inspiration. It represents, one of the statements I've heard said about it, about the head center in general, is that it's inspiration, and it's also where you tend to get your sort of connection to God, to spirit, to the bigger picture, to the universe, to infinity, whatever word you want to use to describe the bigger picture. So again, taking a look at that, 61. We also happen to have at this very moment, for at least the next day or two, is 24 is activated, which is the moon right now. So the moon is in 24, which is basically Taurus. So we've got this channel that's going to 61. But more specifically, let's keep this focus on Pluto in 61. So 61, gate 61 is transforming right now. Now, what's gate 61? Well, we're going to go look over at this gene key. So the gene keys here, this is not pleasant. All right, so the gene keys are really interesting. This, like I said, is a spin-off sort of Neo Astrology system. I really enjoy the system actually a great deal, but what's most interesting about this, what this is saying, is this. So look at the words we're using to describe. So on a basic level, on an uncultivated level, when one is functioning in the shadow, in the sort of when you're on autopilot in your life and you're not operating with mindfulness, with gate 61 specifically, and if you had this hypothetically in your sort of human design birth chart, you would be moving, the potential in an unconscious way is what it says right here, psychosis. As you gain mindfulness, awareness through meditation, through yoga, through qigong, through all these practices that bring you closer to yourself, that connect you to yourself and who you are, it transforms into inspiration. Again, this is the head center. This is the head center, which is the head center in human design is the inspiration center. And then finally, it says sanctity. So it evolves all the way up to sanctity. And now, what I found most interesting is like, oh, those are interesting words. And clearly, we're all being challenged by this psychosis. The media is absolutely insane. Like everyone, in terms of, how they're anchoring into their beliefs and things like that right now, everything is so polarized. It's so intense. And it is like we are going through a collective psychosis. So, but again, we're being transformed towards this sanctity. And again, we're all collectively being transformed. Now, the physiology of this is what really perked me up. The physiology is of the pineal gland. Wow, that kind of blew my mind when I first saw this, because all the sort of legends about what was coming for human history in terms of our evolutionary pathway, again, spiritually speaking, have to do with like our connection to the bigger picture. So it's our connection between human beings. We live in a society and a culture now in which we are literally interconnected through the internet and other means to every other human being in the world in so many other ways. And that's just the sort of more overt material plane connection. There's also this deeper connection, which is, just how humanity is naturally intertwined with one another through, you could say, the collective consciousness, let's say. But how do we connect to that collective consciousness? How do we connect to God, spirit, infinity, the universe? Again, whatever term you want to use, that's the pineal gland. So the pineal gland is going through a very powerful evolution right now. And I'll speak for myself, but when Pluto entered gate 61, which was about, I want to say it was a few months ago, and it's going to stay there for probably another couple months, I started perceiving more internal light, almost like more spaciousness inside my head. And also I experienced a great uptick in the number of visions I was having, lucid dreams, etc., etc. And this is because the pineal gland regulates sleep patterns, but it's also the gland that's connected to DMT, which DMT is sort of the chemical compound that's excreted when you die, that you get filled with light and you have these sort of otherworldly kinds of experiences. If you take ayahuasca or you take any of those sort of journeying entheogens, you'll also experience this DMT compound. So the pineal gland is currently what's evolving. Now, the next step, which is when we move from this gate 61, so again, we're going to go back to this chart. So we got gate 61, where's it at again? All right, there you go. And we're moving into gate 60 next. And that's going to happen, like I said, I think in a couple months. And so gate 60 is also really, really interesting. So not only is this individualistic channel of gate 61, again, these center channels are always considered individualistic channels. So gate 61 is evolving, our pineal glands are evolving, our ability to connect to the bigger picture is evolving. But gate 60 also down here, so gate 60 is down here, and gate 60 is also starting to evolve. Right now Mars is in gate 60, but eventually, like I said, in a couple months, Pluto is going to be going through here. So this gate 60 is going to start to transform. So what's gate 60? Limitation, realism, justice. It says it's a physiology is associated with a colon, but more specifically what we want to look at is our root. So our roots are being mutated. This is called, hold on one second, let me show you. The channel of mutation. So the channel of mutation, 360. And now that's incredibly interesting. Again, do you see what's happening here? Is that our pineal glands are changing, our roots, and I guess how we relate to our rootedness and our feelings of security and safety in our own bodies, all this is transforming and changing. Again, this is happening on a collective level as well as individually. But again, because Pluto really does function on a much more on a collective level in a lot of ways, you will notice this not only within yourself, but we're going to notice this in the structures around us. So hopefully all this was interesting to you. It was certainly incredibly interesting to me. So, if you have any kind of questions, comments, feel free to comment in the video below this video. And I really do appreciate you all watching this. So with that, thank you much.